Hi, welcome to Stealing Licks. My name is David from DG Sessions, and today we're going to take a look at the classic Pantera track, Walk. Here's the lick we're going to be focusing on today. So, just in case you couldn't quite make that out in the actual track, I'm going to play the lick for you now at normal speed, then we're going to slow it down, then we're going to look at what's actually going on. So here's the lick once at normal speed. Once more slowed down. Now, let's take a look at what's going on in the tab and see if we can incorporate some of this into our own style of playing. So, here's the tab on screen now. You'll notice at the top I've written that the tune's in drop D. Now there is some debate over whether the tune was originally recorded in drop D or D standard tuning. I opted for drop D for this particular tablature, but if you do play the tune in D standard, all you have to do is move every single note 2 frets higher. The lick's exactly the same, just move it 2 frets higher, and that should address the issue there. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at how to play the lick. We're going to start off with index and middle finger on the 3rd fret of the D and G string, so your middle 2 strings. We're going to slide from that 3 into the 5 and then back down to the 3, so it'll sound a little bit like this. One more time, index and middle, 3rd fret, slide from the 3 up to the 5, back down. Following that, we're going to hit the ring finger on the 5th fret of the D string, down to the 3rd fret with your 1st finger, and then ring finger back to the 5th fret. So that whole first little phrase is this. One more time. Now for this next section, I'm going to come to you full screen because there's some very tricky fingering going on here. So we're going to start off with the 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. Then we're going to use our ring finger on the 6th fret. Now that is a big stretch. So if that feels a little bit uncomfortable, don't be too disheartened. It's absolutely normal to be a little bit uncomfortable playing this stretch. Then the pinky finger is going to hit the 7th fret of the high E as well. So what we're going to do is launch into something like this. That's what we're after. So we're going to hit that 6th fret, hammer on the 7th, pull off to the 6, down to the 3. Now it's definitely worth investing a little bit of time just getting that under your fingers, getting used to that sound, getting comfortable with it. So that's what we're after. You want that first note to ring out just a little bit longer and then rush the last few. You don't want it to go too even. That's when you start getting to the Twilight Zone kind of thing. But that's the kind of fingering we're going to be looking for. So ring finger on the 6, pinky finger on the 7, and 1st finger on the 3. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it does get easier, I promise you. So let's bring the tab back on the page. So there's that first little phrase for us. So we've got the 6, 7, 6, 3 on the high E string. Next thing we're going to do is almost exactly the same lick. We're just going to close up the stretchiness a little bit. We're going to move it to the B string. Instead of starting on the 6, we're going to start with our ring finger on the 5. And then we're going to go 5, 6, 5, 3. So same lick again. And then we're going to do the same thing again, closing up. But this time we're going to use our middle finger on the 4, ring finger on the 5, pull off to the 4 again, pull off to the 3. And then we're going to hammer onto the 5 and bend up. And then after that we're going to do a bend up, down and back up on the 5. Pull off to the 3, pull off to the 0. That's what we're after there. So make sure you remember, pull off to the 0 on that last note. So now, this is where we start to get into some of that tapping and sliding stuff that you saw in the introduction there. So I'm going to scroll up very slightly here. You should be able to see what's going on. Now we're going to do 4 of these. I'm going to come back to you full screen. The tab itself isn't particularly important. It's more the look of the thing and the sound that the effect of the sound that you get, as opposed to the pitch of the actual notes here. So what we're going to do is, at the moment, we've got that pull off from the 3 to the 0. And then we're going to take our right hand. I'm going to use the middle finger on my right hand. Now some people prefer to use their index finger. That's perfectly fine. I opt for my middle finger just because I like to keep the pick where it normally lives. So we've got that open G ringing out. And we're going to use one finger and we're going to slide from anywhere on the G. Don't worry about where you're sliding from. Just make sure you give yourself enough to hear the actual slide. And you're going to slide into the 12th fret. That's all you need to do. So it's open string. And then slide into that 12th fret on the G. Alright, you're going to do that with your right hand first. Once you've done that, you're going to pull off that 12th fret. And do exactly the same thing with your left hand. I'm going to use my first finger here, but again, you can use any finger on your left hand. So we're going to slide from open string to 12 with the right hand. Pull off. Slide into the 12th fret with the left hand. Pull off again. Slide in. We're going to be alternating right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. We're going to do 4 of those. So we're going to start with right hand, left hand, right hand, and then quickly a left hand. That's the whole phrase as it's written down. So make sure you try and aim to hit that 12th fret. It can be quite tricky when you're doing slides quite quickly. It's very easy to shoot past and it's very easy to undershoot. Don't worry too much if you do that. Just try and get it as close as you can. If you really struggle with it, best piece of advice I can give on that front is to look at where you're going to slide before you slide in. Don't look at where you're sliding from. Always look at where you're sliding to and slide your finger into your line of sight rather than watching and trying to aim as you go. That's the best advice I can give on sliding, but just keep practicing it and it will come eventually. So here's the tab again on your screen. One more time. And that's the end of the lick. We're going to finish off by ringing out on that 12th fret on the G. So, whole lick. I'm going to scroll back up again just so we can see the whole thing. Here we go. Whole lick from the beginning slowly. And at normal speed. And that's how the lick goes. Once you've got that under your belt, we need to know how we can use that lick and how we can incorporate it into our own playing. What's it useful for? Where else can we use it? So, as with a lot of the older metal licks, particularly from bands like Metallica, Pantera, Megadeth, a lot of their playing is kind of blues-based, based on those sort of minor pentatonic blues scale positions, but usually with some kind of twist. Marty Friedman in particular is a really good example of, you know, taking classic licks and putting a twist on them in order to get a exotic or unusual sound. So this particular lick that we're looking at from Dimebag Darrell is based in the G minor pentatonic position, this usual. A lot of us are going to be familiar with that, starting on the 3rd fret. But this incorporation of the 7th fret on that top string to get that really stretchy, unusual sound isn't something you come across very much in blues. Blues players like to keep their thumb over the top of the neck. They like to bend a lot. So incorporating this little trill pull-off kind of thing with a big stretch in there. Not something you hear in a lot of blues playing, but it's definitely something that works and would certainly sound unusual and certainly grab some attention if you used it on a particular blues gig. And obviously the tone that I'm using today lends itself more to the heavy metal and the heavier side of things, but certainly with a nice bluesy crunch sound, it would really work and it would certainly fit really nicely into any kind of heavy or dark blues town. Maybe not something from like a B.B. King style minor blues backing track, you know, try and keep it for some of the heavier, more modern style blueses. But it will definitely work in that sort of thing, certainly with that trill. You know, incorporate any of that lick, you know, all little. And if you're looking for any kind of visual, interesting thing to do to sort of get some attention on stage, those slides are really cool. Doesn't matter where you're sliding from, where you're sliding to, the effect of it is really cool. But certainly in this one, it's nice that Dimebag was sliding into that root note idea there from the G minor into the G. Certainly outlining that G chord. Works really well. So yeah, incorporate it into blues playing, some southern rock style stuff as well. You know, some of that Lynyrd Skynyrd style thing. If you're back down to sort of maybe a crunchy sort of tone. Maybe not incorporate it is quite so fast, but as a little trill and a little embellishment. It really works and that sort of thing. Really cool. The little works really well for riffs, anything like that. Anything G minor-y sounds absolutely great. So hopefully that's given you something to play around with. If you've managed to learn the lick, if you liked the lick, please do hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really does make a massive difference to me. Every little bit helps. And if you've enjoyed yourself, I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have good fun, and I'll see you soon.